world where most of us feel overloaded with information all the time.
Problem number one, of course, is email.
Email. Twitter, Facebook.
Increasingly excessive information.
Life hacking is a way to optimize your life. My name is Ramit Sethi, and I'm the co-founder of PBWiki, and I also run a blog called I Will Teach You to Be Rich, so that you can work towards something meaningful.
Well, just as we hack our machines and our code, maybe you could hack your life. You could, modify it or bang on it in such a way that it worked better for you.
First of all, I have always been completely obsessed with paper products. I'm Merlin Mann. I am a writer, speaker, and independent broadcaster. I've discovered that I'm not alone in this. It's like if you're like this guy who's been walking around his whole life feeling really bad because you're really into hot chicks in high heels crushing mice, and then you suddenly discover the internet and realize there's like 5,000 people that are already paying $40 a month for videos of that. You're like really happy because now there's a name for it. And that's part of the life hacking thing for me. It's like I've always been obsessed with things like office supplies and self-help books and calendars. And it's always since I was a little kid. My mom was in real estate, and I just had all this great crap sitting around that I play with. I play Office. Other people were playing Doctor and like touching each other's wangs, and I'm sitting there trying to get people on my schedule.
And a lot of the problems of being organized are things that geeks face all the time. I was a tech writer, and I was the person who coined the phrase life hacks for my sins. And geeks are very good at coming up with these little solutions, these tiny little micro improvements. It's the way their minds work. So I started saying, look, I guess that there's a bunch of stuff like this. What are your favorite ways of hacking? Not computers, not technology, not machinery, but how do you hack your own life to make things work the way you wanted to? So what I did was I sent out a questionnaire. I sent out a questionnaire to about 70 of the geeks who were kind of sickeningly overproductive. So I went into it expecting that people had written programs to sort of master all of this, right? And that was kind of a thing that when I walk down this path, I end up writing. I'm one of these people who will spend 6 hours writing a computer program or something that will save you 2 minutes over 6 months, right? So I sort of expected that that's what they would do. The surprising thing is what I found is that actually a lot of people got their efficiency doing the opposite.
I always say, somewhat in jest, that I'm just the laziest guy you ever met. I mean, I don't wake up early and work on my most strategic thing. I try to sleep as late as I can. I'm David Allen, founder of the David Allen Company, also the author of Getting Things Done, The Art of Stress-Free Productivity. If you grew up in America, we have something called the Protestant or the Puritan ethic, which sort of translates down to, look, if I'm not feeling at least slightly guilty about how much harder I should be working than I'm currently working, I'm going to hell. But that got built into our culture very big. So hard work, equated with a good person. If people think, well, the way to get rid of the pressure is to work harder, you can never work hard enough. So my edge was, well, how can I be as lazy as I can and still produce results so I can afford my house and my car and, the other kind of golden goodies, the things that I want in my life.
That is, as long as there is a problem to be solved or a desire to be met, American ingenuity will not rest.
So I'm always thinking about, is there some easier way to make something happen? But if I'm saying, what's the easiest way to get from here to there, I don't want to get too organized because that's too much work to get from here to there if I have to get too much structure. So I'm always looking for what's that just enough structure but not any more than that.
Seems we could save a lot of time if we do it that way here.
But we've been getting by all right so far. I don't see much percentage in changing now.
Well, I just thought it would save time for everyone, especially me.
Well, I'm sorry we don't do things more to your way of thinking. But I told you she was becoming impossible. Mr. Barnes, I thought you appreciated all I've done here.
I do, Betty. I just didn't expect such resistance to new ideas.
The calendar pad helps Jean to keep track of her many responsibilities and to establish a regular schedule.
Why GTD hit such a nerve, and my first book, the Getting Things Done book, keeps selling 15-20% more every year since it was published. The publisher can't believe it. They're going, what's going on out there? Now I think it's in 28 or 30 languages, and it kind of keeps spreading around. So, and of course, it hit a nerve, I think, in the tech community to begin with, and that's how it, I think that was a big catalyst in expanding this, and the life hackers kind of caught onto it then. The computer people seem to be almost as lazy as I am. And they're in an enabling field. I mean, the whole idea of computers is let's make life easier. So how do I take a system, apply it to something that's potentially complex, which will simplify it, speed it up, and make it more elegant. You know, GTD is not a tech system. It's really system independent, but it was the tech people, I think, really caught on to it.
I think sometimes we look at that stuff and a lot of us kind of roll our eyes because it seems like it's, how can I put this gently? It seems like it's a book that's written for the person we'd never want to be. And so I think one reason, to be really honest, one reason I love Getting Things Done, the book and the system, and that I think a lot of people really like it, is it's about verbs. It's a book about verbs. A lot of these are books about nouns, capital letter nouns, and mission statements, and values, and excellent, whatever the fuck that means. And Getting Things Done is a book about how to do all the stupid tiny verbs.
The biggest barrier to entry to really doing GTD sort of as a lifestyle is people's addiction to stress. Not addiction called I have to go feel stressed, but their willingness to tolerate all of that unprocessed stuff banging around in their head. And most people have just been in that so long and so consistently, they don't even know they're having that negative experience. Once you get rid of it and see how different you feel, whoa, then you go, whoa, that's a very different place. I didn't realize I could actually be buried and have nothing on my mind. So once you taste that, then you're going to have to start to get used to that enough where you're going to recognize when things are on your mind and it'll start to feel uncomfortable to you.
That anything that you have left undone will bug you. Your brain, the way our brain works is it goes, you gotta clean the garage, you gotta clean the garage, you gotta clean the garage. And that the only way to have this mind like water is to take that gotta clean the garage out and put it in a trusted system where you know it will come back to you at an appropriate time. See, if I'm thinking gotta clean the garage now, that's a complete waste of energy because I can't clean the garage now. So take it out now, put it in that book, and make it come up only when it's an appropriate time to clean the garage. Then you should be thinking about it, no other time.
One of the breakthroughs that I've had just in the last 6 months, really since the birth of my daughter, to be honest, I've started to realize that all of this productivity stuff and the to-do lists and all of this incredibly huge amount of horseshit that we all deal with, all the monkey work, is really about figuring out how to clear things off the table and create large blocks of time to work on what really matters to you.
If a member of the financially elite makes $1 million a year, Tim Ferriss is my name, and I am, I guess, an experimentalist. I perform experiments and report on those experiments. But he or she has been divorced 2 times and has a Lamborghini they put 1,000 miles on per year, and they're working weekends and holidays and evenings and so forth. They are less rich by my definition as someone who makes, let's say, $50,000 a year, plans, let's just say mini retirements and so forth, so that he or she is, for all intents and purposes, creating a lifestyle from the outside looking in that is more jet set than the first person I mentioned.
The obsession we need to have is not with Six Sigma and quality and blah, 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 mission statements and values and excellence. Our obsession needs to be with how much less bullshit could we be doing today.
The hot cups of coffee enjoyed by about 27 million Americans is costing industry more than $1 billion annually. What would you guess a coffee break is costing us?
You know, being able to spend time on the stuff that you want to make, that's the new version of the American dream to me. You know, I don't really care about being a homeowner. I want my family to have a comfortable place to live, but I never want to have another job where I help make somebody else rich at the expense of the things that I really care about.
Reading about productivity is not being productive. It's preparation for being productive. So I think much like reading anything, it's a very thinly veiled form of procrastination.
And I think it's this false hope. It's a religion. It's the religion of life hacking. It's the religion of somewhere, somehow, something exists that you do it and your whole life is going to change, everything's going to get better, and you will no longer procrastinate.
They get so caught up in doing things efficiently that they don't stop to ask themselves whether or not those tasks or those projects have any real importance. So as a result, they get very good at doing unimportant things.
And I see people doing that today. I see people with their little getting things done methodology. You know, I've got 43 folders, and I've got, and I've been working, and they spend hours setting up this system because it's far preferable to actually getting things done. And then, so they set up the system and they use it. It falls apart pretty quickly. So then they say, well, the problem was my system was too complicated. So I'm going to set up a much simpler system. And so they set up another system. People spend more time with their systems than they do actually getting things done. Man, I've set up so many systems. I've taken every course in time management. I've done every book. I've bought all sorts. I can't tell you how many Franklin planners I've bought.
Personal productivity is personal, and people all want the one-size-fits-all answer. But personal productivity is inherently personal. No one person's circumstances will be the same as someone else. No one person's priorities will be exactly the same as someone else.
Life is only getting faster, and the thing is, it's getting faster not at a linear rate, but at an exponential rate. So there's no solution that ultimately is going to keep up. And I think ultimately what we've all got to do is give each other some slack.
Why are people so interested in these things? And it's not because we've magically become incompetent at managing our lives. I think, a lot of people, the problem they come to is they sort of come and say, look, I have 100 things to do this week. How do I organize myself so I can do these sort of, I can do 20 things every day? And Life Hacks is an attempt to answer that question, but the real question you have to ask is, why do you think it's a good idea for you to do 100? Who told you you had to do 100 things? Why don't you just say, well, I'm going to do 20, and then I'm not going to do any more because I can't, and I'll go nuts?
Like, if we all figure out the stuff that we can really afford to drop that's giving us more stress than value, we're going to make more awesome stuff.